Here are some of the most incredible megaprojects that will be finished very soon and will range from massive dams to world record-breaking buildings, in addition to the relocation of entire capital cities and the construction of artificial islands. Number 10. Jeddah Economic City. Saudi Arabia published Vision 2030 in 2016 to try to reduce its reliance on oil and diversification of its economy. Tourism and investment are critical components of this vision. The 20 billion economic Jeddah city, whose growth is accelerating, and Saudi Arabia plan to build the world's highest tower in Jeddah Economic City. The landscaping work is almost done. Also, there are over 200 towers planned for the city, despite the fact that Jeddah Tower's future remains uncertain, but the grand construction of the fundamental infrastructure makes us able to see new skyscrapers emerging from the largest megaproject in Saudi Arabia. Number 9. Padma Bridge. The majority of Bangladesh's territory is less than 5 meters above the ground sea level, and there are many rivers, so the country is dealing with severe flooding challenges and impacts of climate change. So, building new infrastructures has become very hard and costly as a result of these issues. Bangladesh's infrastructure is insufficient, which is impeding its economic development. Padma Bridge, a project that will connect the nation's capital Dhaka with the south, is one of the most important projects in Bangladesh. The World Bank and other donors initially contributed $3 billion in funding. The World Bank pulled out of the project in response to allegations of corruption leveled against Bangladeshi government officials, so they revoked credit of $1.2 billion. The project will continue to use Bangladesh's own money, even though the corruption allegations being dropped in a Canadian court, as other financiers rapidly followed. The two-story, multi-purpose bridges building commenced in 2014. The lower level will include a one-track railroad line, whereas the higher level brings a 4-lane motorway, and the bridge was built on 42 pillars that reach up to the surface of the water. The 6.1-kilometer-long bridge and 122 meters deep is one of the world's longest bridges and also Bangladesh's longest bridge. The bridge will eventually provide service to 75,000 cars per day, significantly reducing travel time and vehicle operating costs. It will also incur positive consequences for Bangladesh's thriving economy because the country's GDP is expected to rise by up to 2%. Number 8. New Clark City. Another country preparing a backup capital is the Philippines. Manila is the current capital. It's located on the Pacific Ring of Fire, which contains the overwhelming majority of earthquakes and active volcanoes in the world. Authorities considered the nearby tall, highly active volcano, and several hundred thousands of people would have to be evacuated considering the possibility of a catastrophic eruption. The Philippines is building a new Clark City in a better place, about 100 kilometers away from Manila. It'll have a whole new government, construction of special economic zones and residences for up to 1.2 million people. It'll be bigger than Manhattan. The city will be finished in 5 phases over a 30-year period, the first of which completed in 2022. Number 7. Brenner-based tunnel. The success of Switzerland's Gotthard-based tunnel, which opened in 2016 and enables Switzerland to carry cargo quickly across Europe, will be replicated by the construction of a second tunnel beneath the Alps. With the Brenner-based tunnel that is 55 kilometers in length, Italy and Austria will be connected by the railway tunnel that is the second longest in the world. It was given a high priority status by the European Union, which is also supporting almost half of the total projected costs associated with the project. In 2014, excavation work began on the project. However, technical difficulties during tunneling initially resulted in a 3-year delay. The completion date was initially intended for 2025. However, the project experienced another setback in 2020 when a $1 billion deal with one of the prospect's principal developers was cancelled. This compelled the reissuing of construction tenders, which resulted in a 4-year delay. The tunnel's Italian side will no longer need to be excavated. Rather than, work will continue close to the Austrian border. When the project finishes, travel times will drop from 80 minutes to 25 minutes by moving into an underground railroad line. It will lessen the amount of heavy load traffic on the highways. The cost of the Brenner-based tunnel is estimated to be about $9 billion, and it's expected to be fully operational by the year 2032. Number 6. The new Vietnam Airport. Ho Chi Minh City Primary Airport served more than 35 million travelers in 2019. Ho Chi Minh City is the largest urban area in Vietnam and is home to approximately 9 million people. Even while the COVID-19 outbreak has brought some relief from the congestion, Vietnam is working toward a more permanent solution. In January 2021, the Vietnamese government gave its consent for the construction of a new international airport to be named Long Tan. The airport, which will be developed in 3 phases and is located 40 kilometers east of Ho Chi Minh City, will eventually be able to accommodate 100 million passengers yearly, which is approximately 18% of the total. Because of the Vietnam War, The country has one of the highest percentages of mine contamination in the world. The development of the project can begin this month after mine identification and clearance work was fully finished in 2021, when the project's first phase was finished 6 months quicker than expected. The airport will be able to accommodate 25 million passengers annually, which will increase its capacity to 50 million people. The completion of all 3 phases of the project will cost a total of $16 billion, making it the most expensive infrastructure project in Vietnam's history. The second phase of development will involve the Airports Corporation of Vietnam creating a second runway and enlarging the passenger terminal. Number 5. Madika Tower. The city's tallest building currently in the construction stages, the Madika Tower in Malaysia has been under construction since 2014 and will be finished this year. The completion of the Madika Tower is significant because it might be the first of its kind since the epidemic. Other expected megatall skyscrapers such as the Jeddah Tower and the Dubai Creek Tower have experienced delays, and it's yet uncertain what will become of this project. Number 4. Incheon International Airport. Incheon International Airport, located in Seoul, South Korea, is the world's busiest airport and the largest airport in South Korea. It consistently ranks at the top for service quality, and its average passenger processing times are among the quickest in the world. Its 2 terminals can accommodate more than 17 million passengers each year, but there are plans to grow it into one of the largest aviation hubs in the world. Number 3. Lusail City. There have been numerous scandals surrounding the Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup. Human rights violations, allegations of corruption, and terrible working conditions have all been the subject of contentious discussion. Concerns were raised about Qatar's ability to hold such a large event in the absence of adequate infrastructure. Despite all of the worries, Qatar persisted with its planning, and one of its mega projects, which is already among its most extensive, is almost done. Lusail City, whose construction will be fully completed this year at an estimated cost of $45 billion, is located 20 kilometers from the capital of Doha. There will be 22 hotels, fresh new buildings, and other entertainment places. The majority of the city's construction is finished, including the iconic 80,000-seat stadium that hosted the World Cup final on December 18, 2022. Following the conclusion of the World Cup, Lusail City will be home to 300,000 people, and its great new stadium will be developed into a community. Number 2. The expansion of the Moscow International Business Center to include the construction of 2 more incredibly tall skyscrapers. The objective of Russia to turn itself into a financial center is gaining ground. The business area that was initially envisioned in the 1990s would house more than 300,000 people and serve as the capital's financial center. Construction first began in 1995, but its investment dwindled over the ensuing decades. Several planned structures had to be postponed or shelved. The project had received $12 billion in investment as of 2014, when it was 50% finished. In 2019, work on 2 well-known buildings, the One Tower and the Grand Tower. The One Tower is Risum's construction on the 50th floor. The One Tower was supposed to stand at a height of 400 meters when construction first began, but subsequent design modifications increased its overall height to 445 meters, making it the tallest structure in Europe. Construction on the Grand Tower, a different skyscraper located a few blocks away, planned to be finished soon, and the Moscow International Business Center is scheduled to be completed in 2024, with more than half of the planned facilities having already been erected and others still in the construction phase. Number 1. Denmark's Energy Islands. In 1991, Denmark is responsible for constructing the very first wind farm in the history of the world that is placed offshore. This was accomplished by the construction of an artificial energy island. Promote the generation of energy in offshore locations. The country is currently working on erecting a centralized power station in the middle of the North Sea, which will be surrounded by windmills once it's finished. The requirements that the country has set for sustainable energy will be easier to meet as a result of this. Geological studies need to be done first in order to determine whether or not the sea floor can support the construction of foundations before any building work can commence. These surveys include mapping the geological layers down to a depth of 100 meters, and sampling the seabed for 1 million tons of earth will need to be transported to the North Sea in order to build the artificial island. These surveys are being conducted in order to determine the best location for the artificial island. It's anticipated that the area will generate 50% more energy than what's required to meet the needs of the Danish people, and this additional energy will be exported to the countries that are nearby. The project is estimated to cost $34 billion, making it the greatest construction endeavor ever undertaken in Danish history. Denmark will seek to recreate its earlier achievements in the Baltic Sea. Which of these mega projects are you waiting for more than others? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section.